All right. Welcome back, guys. Welcome to E2W Coast Sports. Doing a quick recap of Monday night's games here. Wanted to just touch on two teams specifically in this podcast. Wanted to touch on the Warriors versus the Suns game, on the Celtics, and how things are going for them right now. Looks like they slid to the third seed, so we'll get to that a little bit more, but things aren't looking good. Vibes are not good for the Celtics right now. All right, let's kick it off with the Warriors here. Wanted to touch on a few things. Must win game for them, so obviously the urgency was there. Wanted to talk about Clay's hot shooting. Man, was that some zombie Clay for you. That was some vintage 2018, 2019 Clay. Everything he was shooting was going in. Love watching that type of basketball. It's fun as a fan. It's fun as a Warriors fan specifically. Clay is just something else, man. He is someone that when he gets in that zone, I really, really don't know if there's anyone else who is as good as Clay. I really don't. I think he has the most zombie mode, hot streak shooting anyone in the league. It's insane. The other thing too is I know Clay was fueled. Clay was ready to talk all that trash, especially after a few went in, and he was just staring down Booker. He was talking all that trash, and it worked. I mean, they won. It was a good game for Clay. It was a good game for the Warriors. It's tough to take this win as like, hey, huge win for the season. Obviously, they needed the win in their win-loss record, but overall, no KD, and it was like they were depleted, right? It was like they didn't have Cam Johnson or Mikal Bridges. So, they should win, right? Let's touch on Steph here. Steph was looking really good. I think the biggest thing that we can take away from this is he's healthy and he's had 26 games off due to injuries, and so those legs are still really fresh essentially. Steph had a really good first quarter, but then he sort of slowed things down and he wasn't super impactful to the end, but that's pretty common for Steph. He takes over when he needs to. So good game for Steph. Poole has been in a skid as of late, basically since Steph Curry came back. The thing with Poole that is tough is I don't know if he can be on the floor with Steph and Clay because he just doesn't get enough touches. He needs the ball. Typically, when Steph, Clay, and Draymond are on the floor, Draymond is sort of handling the ball, setting up Clay or Steph, and then Poole sort of becomes, the bailout third option. So I wonder if for Poole to stay on this team and to be relevant on this team, he needs to just be able to play that secondary, ball handler off the bench. He needs to do what he did in the fourth quarter. What he did in the fourth quarter is what, the reason why Poole is going to be making all this money. Now, he's still not on that contract yet. So, what if the Warriors trade him this offseason? We'll see. If Poole wants to be, the guy, right? If he wants to be that sixth man of the year candidate, most improved player, he needs to play like he did in that fourth quarter. He was making shots, he was making plays, he was coming in clutch, he was getting to the free throw line. All the things that makes a juice worth the squeeze for Poole, because he's still a traffic cone on defense. So we'll see. I hope he can take from this game. I hope he can move forward from this game and bring that into the rest of the season and the off season. All right, let's talk about the Celtics. What is going on with the Celtics? Is it Missoula? Is it the players? Are they in a bad headspace right now? Are they just not sensing the urgency? After their loss to the Houston Rockets, which are the worst team in the league, and they have a lot of injuries and they're sitting guys, they lost. I did want to point out a few players that are having a rough skid specifically because, to be honest, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Brogdon, those guys are playing really well. I mean, when Jaylen Brown scored 43 points, I think last night, that's a really good game for him. The Williams, Rob is still not 100%. It's clear Rob is not 100%, and it's clear that he is struggling to stay out there for extended minutes. And when he is fresh, he's a monster, but he can't stay out there. So that's tough. And then what's up with Grant? Grant is almost out of the rotation here, and he was offered an extension, a decent one, 4 for 50 mil, I believe, over the offseason. Didn't take it. He bet on himself, and things have not been looking good. Now, is it Grant? Is it Missoula? I've always been one to think that it is more on the players. Coaches are motivational pieces. They can be really smart in the sets, they X and O's and stuff like that. I think coaches really bring more of the readiness for the players. The players actually have to go out there and execute. Steve Kerr was under fire recently for his rotations and for what was going on. Why were the Warriors losing? Steve Kerr, Steve Kerr, Steve Kerr. And the reality of it is, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Poole, those guys who are scorers, they have to make shots. That's really what it comes down to. And I think you can apply that to this situation too. Maybe not so much for Grant as far as making shots, but he needs to do what he, is impactful, how he impacts the Celtics, and he's just not doing that. He seems lost out there. He doesn't know what sets are running, and things are just really sloppy with him. So I hope he can get that together because obviously he's proven that he can be, a really big impact player, a really good role player for a good team. But as of late, it just hasn't been there. So we'll see with that. But Mazzulla, he's earned this coaching role, but at the same time, I think there's a lot to be said about new season, fresh legs, just lost in the finals. So we need to come back for revenge. And now that that's behind them, it's on Mazzulla to really impact this game and really get this team ready to perform on a night-to-night basis. I was thinking after their loss last night and then them sliding to the third seed, how hard it is to get to the finals. Now, doesn't mean Celtics can't get to the finals, but at the same time, that stretch from 2015 to 2018, right? So 4 or 5 finals, it was Warriors, Cavs. 5 in a row. That is unheard of. That probably won't happen again, or probably will not happen again for quite a while. So for a team, as good as the Celtics, they just can't take that for granted. And I hope that the guys understand that. I hope that the coaching staff understands that because the reality is, yeah, they can come in as a third seed. They can still have a good chance, but the Sixers are playing well. With Giannis, the Bucks are probably the best team in the NBA, especially in the East. And you got the Cavaliers who are surging. You don't want to play the Heat. You don't want to play the Knicks. Like, there is a lot going against the Celtics for actually getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, let alone the NBA Finals. So that's on Mazzulla. It's on the players, but we'll see. Only time will tell. Last thing is Derek White. His impact on the team has been great, and for some reason, he isn't getting playing minutes in crunch time. So again, what is that? Is it a Mazzulla thing? Is it, they just don't trust Derek White in those crunch times? I don't know. I don't know. I do think the Celtics still should be, second favorite in the East to match up with the Bucks. They got to get that second spot so they don't face the Bucks before the Eastern Conference Finals. And when the Celtics are playing well, they're one of the best teams in the league. So we'll see with that. It would be a hard bet for me to say that both Warriors and Celtics are going to meet again in the finals in a rematch. I think one of the two teams is not going to make it to the finals. If you were a betting person, it's probably the Warriors. But at the same time, if they get healthy and, if they start gelling, if Andrew Wiggins comes back, I don't know. It could be fun. All right. Thanks, guys.